To discuss. Kevin, I want to start with you on this. Sources in both campaigns taking the bold stance of saying it's a jump ball. Level set, where is this right now?
I mean, I honestly think that's quite a fair assessment at this point. If you'd asked a week and a half ago, probably would have said Cuomo. There was polling that certainly suggests he would probably win by a comfortable margin when all of the ballots are counted. And keep in mind, because of ranked choice voting, we're not going to have an answer here for another week. And quite frankly, because of the cross endorsements between Zohran Mamdani and a third ranking candidate, there is a chance that those, depending on how many votes go from that third ranker to Zohran Mamdani, it could bode well for him or it could be his own doom. But the latest polling within the last week, last couple of days, suggested that Zohran Mamdani, after all the votes are tabulated, could be ahead by 4 points over Cuomo, and that would scuttle his chance at a relaunch into his political career, and quite frankly, be kind of a head-scratcher for everyone, where a couple months ago, basically no one knew who Zohran Mamdani was.
To that point, Amisha, how did this happen? It just felt like a couple months ago, this was Andrew Cuomo's, and everyone was just going to have to accept it on some level.
Well, I think that he's tapped into a few things, but I would argue that we probably shouldn't put a ton of credence into it because there is a national movement against progressives at this point. We saw it in the elections in 2024, and I don't think that wave is going to stop anytime too soon, especially for big cities. I'm a native of Chicago. Our current mayor is in trouble right now and underwater. I think
so
the progressives...
the Chicago Tribune weighed in and said, don't do this, New York.
Progressives are going to have a hard time. With that being said, I think that, him leaning in on the sentiment of many voters when it came to what was happening in Gaza was something that was a lean in for him. But in addition to that, he's done something a bit non-traditional with the cross endorsements. And his campaign and several of the others that are not named Cuomo have been pushing towards ranking somebody who's not named Cuomo, no matter who that person is. So I think that there are a few things working in his favor here, but I am very cautious to say that it's going to take him over the edge because I still think that Cuomo has the edge here.
What's your sense? Obviously, it's a single political race in a city, which means we are all going to try and extrapolate 10 years worth of future meaning for the Democratic Party. What's your sense about the importance of this for a party that's really trying to find its way right now?
Look, as a Republican, I could sit back and kind of laugh it up as to this is the best the Democratic Party can do. But as a native New Yorker, I mean, this is discouraging. And I'm dating myself here, but like, I remember New York in the 80s. It was ungovernable. You drive through the Midtown Tunnel and you'd be accosted by squeegee men. And it took it getting really bad for 20 years of Rudy Giuliani and Mike Bloomberg, supported by George Pataki in Albany, to kind of course-correct things. And you know what? They made it look easy. And now we're sliding back into that cycle where New Yorkers have to learn those tough lessons again. So when I step back as a conservative and say things like $30 minimum wage, price controls, rent controls, tax increases, I say, when have these things ever worked?
It's a primary. There's an independent who's also the sitting mayor. How does this play out going forward, regardless of who wins?
Right. So, quite frankly, this could be the easy part, because then when we go to November, you have the chance that whoever wins the Democratic primary, the person who loses, be it Cuomo or Mamdani, could end up running as a third party. Then you throw in the fact that Mayor Eric Adams, who is dealing with his own issues and distrust within the New York political base, shall we say, in no small part because there are allegations of a quid pro quo between him and the Trump White House over how the various charges he was facing and his willingness to back up his immigration policies on the federal level. So you throw him into the mix, and then a Republican is going to be in the mix, and suddenly you're replaying this election again with the chance for Democrats in New York that a Republican could sweep in and perhaps get a little bit more close than comfort might suggest.
One-word answer: possible that a Republican slips in here in the end?
If Mamdani was able to, work a miracle here, quite possibly.
Nah, it'll take 10 more years if New Yorkers wise up.
Appreciate you guys very much. Well, the defense team for